How did you go about learning slash studying the business side of the music industry? Did you learn as you went, or did you kind of have some idea already of how things worked? I just wanted to know what your advice is with the business side.
I think we were like, honestly, like super lucky that Charlie was there to give us loads of advice. And I think also like, obviously Chloe has and Debbie have the most experience, but with this. And so I think me and Gabby was so lucky to be able to have like women around us that we were just like comfortable to be like, do you know what? I have like no fucking clue what this means, or what this means. And even like, I think there's so much like language around business that's like very misleading and like not always the most clear. And I think it's so easy to be lost in. Like no one ever teaches you this shit. It's like it's always the stuff that gets like, you just like, people assume you just know stuff. So I think it's just the main thing that I feel grateful for is like feeling confident enough to say, you have to explain this to me like I'm a 5-year-old learning how to read for the first time. Like I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. And
yeah, completely. That's with me. You go, Debs.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say like yeah, just being confident in yourself and your own decisions, because ultimately like anything you do or decide, the music that you put out, your image, it's something that you know that's tied to you. It's not tied to your manager or fans or label or whoever else is involved. It's you, so you just need to be really strong with what you want that to be and go for it, because your fans want to know, like they want to know what you want and you know what you want to put out. So
Right.
Yeah.
I'm always I've told that you can kind of you shouldn't be afraid to be able to like ask, oh well, I don't know what this means or what is this, but then at the same time people are like, well, you should know this. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't know if me asking is gonna make me seem green in this whole thing, but I just wanted to know.
I think it's like very like powerful to see, like to be openly green, but like openly asking. Like no one's gonna like, it's like all you're doing is like showing that you care enough to ask. I think like, you know, like, and then at least you feel confident in like, we're putting out stuff that we really believe in and like we actually understand this, like we understand what we're doing and why it feels good. Yeah.
and I think personally, like if I hear someone ask a question, I'm more likely to think, oh, they're being really attentive and they're going to retain this, you know, they're showing an interest, then why don't they know that? I'm like, oh, okay, someone's listening, you know. So I think it's cool to just show an interest.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, so I have the next question, and it's how do you navigate sexism in the music world being an all-girl band like us?
Like being a part of this band, just it being all women from the get-go, and that was all I knew because it was my first experience being in a band. So I'm very lucky to have been surrounded by also having Charlie being our kind of navigator in the beginning of this, and that's one of her main things is that I think she speaks a lot about the sexism that she's dealt with. But yeah, the girls in the band have been super, I mean, we just don't give a shit, really. I think it's never been like a conversation, and luckily we haven't had anyone really come at us with anything specific. But I don't know, I think maybe Chloe, I've heard her say some things about her experiences in the beginning of her career, and Debbie too. But yeah, I've been pretty lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just sticking to your, you know, your guns and your gut with what you feel, and also, yeah, like Gabby said, just like rallying with the women around you to stick to your vision, and yeah, reaching out to them when you feel low or need support, to keep going, and or when you feel like you were offended, and or going through hard times, sticking to the women around you.
That's good.
I feel like Chloe and Debs really inspired me with that, because both of them, like socially, but also I think musically, surround themselves with a lot of like female musicians that they've admired a lot, or like that they respect. And I think like kind of banding together with other bands that like you would historically maybe have been pitted against, or like compared to, like it's kind of cooler that like I've seen both of them through their music be like really good friends with a lot of women that they would have like people might have compared them to or something. And I think that's just really cool. And I think that sometimes then like it doesn't give people any room to say anything a lot of the time with that, because it's like, okay, cool, you can compare me to this person, but like they're my friend, like that'd be weird. Or I don't know, it feels like a really cool way that I've learned through them to navigate that.
Well, you're kind of like not playing the game, are you? You're not really giving it any fire. It's like it requires you to have a reaction, a negative reaction to it. I mean, really, you're just like in a full band with girls. That's doesn't actually need to be about anything else. You guys can just kill it and let everyone else think what they want.
Fuck yeah.
I feel like we've had some instances where they'll come up to us and be like, oh, I didn't expect that, because we're all girls or something, or everybody has their own opinions of what girls should sound like or something. So I guess that's what we were like acting and stuff.
You almost like can't win with that, because if you like present in any way like feminine, it feels like that's still a thing that people like, some people will say. It almost feels like you just got to like just like keep doing what you're doing, and at some point people will get bored of like being like, wow, I didn't expect for women who present in a certain way to like also be able to make music. Like that is just it's such a dumb thing, isn't it? And it's like it's frustrating, but I guess it's just one of those things that the more you do, like the more that will become tired, and people will just be like, they're great.
Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. And then Tamara.
Oh no, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Who's
Aria, go ahead. She's gonna have to, for some reason, her computer sometimes works with the audio, sometimes you'll join us up in mobile.
All right. Yeah. So I'll go to the next question while Tana's switching. How do you turn like a casual fan into a diehard fan?
I love that question so much.
I know, but I'm like,
I'm like, what is it, like turmeric? I feel like it sounds like a recipe.
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, it's just like, I feel like we play a lot of shows where like everybody's like, yeah, that was great, I loved it, and then they don't come back to see us again or anything like that. Like.
Yeah, it's harder.
But sometimes, I mean, sometimes that's what it is. They come, they love you, and then everything else is done with them finding out like your music online and I don't know, looking at what you're doing for the rest of the year, putting out new music or whatever. So it doesn't always have to be in person. I mean, I've never asked myself that question, so that's a good question. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Fair enough.
It's yeah.
Like interacting with your right? Like on to them, like on the internet and things like that. I think it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just be more engaging, kind of like letting them know.
Yeah, but also what Gabby said, like sometimes you don't know why a person like gravitates to your band.
True. Very
I
true.
think the fact that we had like a TV show really helped break this wall down, so that we could really just let people in a like an all access way, which is what I guess people want. They want something to connect to. So yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just it's being vulnerable, really, and like Chloe said, like speaking to people as much as possible, just wanting to build that relationship because it's a two-way thing. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it either.
Oh my.
I think that I feel like that's kind of true, Deb. Like, I don't know, like if we kind of came into this quite unfiltered and like shouting like from the rooftops that we were the best band ever, and I think like I feel like there was like a sense of humor in it, or like not always presenting ourselves like super polished. I think people like could get into. I don't think that was conscious as like a way to like get people on board, but it definitely, yeah, I agree with you, like being open and like having like chatting to the people who like take the time to come to the show and like listen to your music and stuff, and yeah. Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
That was such a beautiful sneeze.
And she has the daintiest sneezes I've ever heard in my life.
So dainty, I love it.
But yeah, I agree with you for sure. We try to interact as much as possible with people that we see kind of like come regularly. It might be one or two people where we're like, oh, like we should go talk to them, you know, because they obviously think it's important to be here. So
yeah.
Canada
Canada is having a hard time joining back in for some reason. So I guess I'll go ahead and ask the next question while that gets all figured out. So I have a question about how you stay sane with the craziness of like touring and playing shows. What helps you not give in to some of the stress or the tiredness and keep grounded?
We I feel like, I don't know, I feel like as a four we're very like sister like and sibling like. There's not I don't know, I feel like I wouldn't stay sane if I wasn't able to like fully share all like the gross details of my life with these three women. I think that's the key, is that like, you know, tell people when you're in a bad mood, tell people when you need like a snack.
Yeah.
Rely on each other.
I think we've all got a different thing as well. In fact, I'm going to tell you everyone's thing. Chloe will skateboard. Georgia will like to go out and treat herself. She's bougie. She'll go like get some really expensive eggs from somewhere. Gabs will say she wants to come, but then won't. And I don't know what I do. Probably just like run or.
You wake me up at 6 a.m. to make porridge.
Oh yeah, I just don't sleep. I get up really early on tour. But I think it's easier when there's four of you. I can't imagine being in a band. I can't imagine being in a band by myself, sorry. I mean, I couldn't imagine being like in music by myself. I think the fact that there's people there to like call out any weird behavior is really good, because it keeps you sane and together.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Having your own thing, having your one thing that you do, whether it's every day, every other day, something that you eat or do before a show, or just drink water and make sure you give a good heads up before you have to pee, or else you'll be in a bad mood. And yeah, tell everyone everything.
In the car.
Yeah.
Hannah, I think if your audio's working, you're next, girl.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hi.
Okay. Hi.
Victory.
Okay, how is your experience in the music different now from when you first started out?
I think now I just have learned when to speak up and say what I like and don't like, and that's changed my experience. At the beginning, I was really nervous to give an opinion because I thought I didn't know much about music, and I mean, maybe I still don't, but I say what I want to say. Yeah, just communication now is a lot easier, and paying attention to what you like, and when you're recording, the things that you like the things that you pay attention to really matter. The things that stick out to you that you like in the music making process has made me feel more confident, and kind of I'm able to do it alone now, which I never thought I'd be able to do. Or not alone, but like I can do something and then send it to. I can't do it alone. I need them, but I can figure something out, you know. Yeah, but it's just I guess confidence. It's like you always have it. It's just you gotta pull it out, you know. And that's easier than you think, because people aren't judging as much as you think they are, or not at all. They're probably not judging at all.
Right, we're our own worst critic, I feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I also feel like that's great, Gabby. I also feel like there's more camaraderie like amongst women. The music industry than there was when I first started, and I think there's a lot more women wanting to champion each other, and that's like a really beautiful thing that I'm really thankful has happened in my lifetime.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I feel this for us a little bit, because sometimes when we first started out, there were a couple like female-fronted girl bands, and sometimes they would be a little attitude and a little competitive. But now everyone that we encounter is a lot more friendly and wanting to like support each other. So I agree. Like I didn't think about that.
It's really cool. I think it's also like there's with what everyone's just said. There's like I think more of an openness to share, especially because of like quarantine and stuff now. Like I think it's you don't have to feel like super confident in something to share it with other musicians around you, and I've like really found that that's like such a big thing in terms of like affecting your like musicianship or like how you feel about what you're doing, is like being able to share it and have specifically other women like be able to like chime in and teach you something, or like an idea. It's cool. It feels like once you get past that hurdle of like shit, I can't show anyone this because it's not the best thing ever, I feel like that felt very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree with that. Who's next? Aria, are you next?
Well, we skipped 10 second question, so it's 10 again.
Oh, okay. What's your process when writing songs, and how do you get over writer's block?
I think if we have too much of a block, we move on, and that's something I saw when like watching Charlie work. She's so quick with writing, and I found that really inspiring. I think we all did when we started, because a good idea will you just have to you know it's good, and then it's great if you champion it yourself, and then if you love it and you feed it, you know. So like just go with what you've got and it will roll into something. You have to start with something to like build around, otherwise you just never get going. And often like we'll come up with a melody or a lyric that then turns into something so different that it's not even recognizable, but we wouldn't have got to, you know, B if we didn't start at A, sort of thing. So I think just keep going.
And yeah, and having the other girls in the band like use that to your advantage. I don't know what your guys' process is, but not all of us do one specific thing, which is really cool. Like usually we're all writing on lyrics at some point, or giving some notes on what we think would sound good. And don't be afraid to speak up with that. I know no fucking not one thing about drums or bass or guitar, how to play them. So, but I always say something if I really don't like it, or if I want to change something. It's, just collaborate. That's the best part of this thing. It's you get kind of a rush when you get out of those sessions, you know, just like get everyone jazzed up and let it all out, because I don't know, usually something really great comes from just collaborating. And if you already have that chemistry, then that's great.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes we are writing a song and it kind of sometimes it gets to a hard point and we're like, okay, should we move on, or should we try to get through it, or move on and come back, or just like ditch it. But yeah, I think it's really important to be able to have everyone's ideas and be like, oh no, I want a different drum beat or something.
Yeah.
I feel like we got used to like not being too precious over like if something doesn't flow. I feel like we do move on pretty quick. I think in a really good way of like, this is a song, like this is meant to be like fucking like fun to write, and if it like starts to feel like, oh, we're still here, like how are we not even like getting a second verse out of it? It feels like maybe this isn't the spot for everyone right now. Maybe we'll come back to another day. Like we've definitely, I know like on all of our phones we have lyrics that like we keep coming back to, and like then it inspires a whole new thing because we like for some reason like this set of words doesn't work, or like this melody has never quite worked. It like sparks a whole other like day of stuff.
Yeah, we've definitely experienced something turn into something else that we never would have thought would even like occur. Which is fun.
Yeah, that's the best part of it.
So Arya, are you next?
Yeah, okay. What are your strengths and challenges as a band, and how have you been like overcoming those challenges?
I think strengths are that we have each other. That's just a one-liner for you. And it's like a automatic family. Our weaknesses right now is that what the other half of the question was, is that we're just not together, and that's really, really hard. But that's just this current situation, and it fucking sucks, but we're making it work. We slowly figured out a way to, not even musically, I mean, we're still trying to figure out a way to write, and we're doing that, sending melodies and lyrics, but it's just hard not being able to see each other.
Jumping in really fast, can you elaborate a little bit about the creative process and how that's changed with social distancing and not being able to see each other?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Who was that?
No, I breathed and then I was about to say something, but I heard you were about to speak. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I mean, before social distancing, we already were on two separate parts of the world. We were in the UK and Los Angeles, split in half. So we were kind of already figuring out ways to send each other music and ways to write, and can you record this and that. So luckily we had that as a base for the quarantine. But it is really hard. I mean, use all your technology to your advantage, whether it's a shitty voice memo or like singing it to somebody over the phone who has a really great mic in their studio, and downloading apps. I mean, everybody has a phone. There has to be some sort of music app that you can make beats on, and just play around and don't stop, because like keep that creativity going and in your body. I like went 2 weeks without even thinking about or like noticing or looking at music or anything, and realize, oh, I can actually still write, and I can do this here by myself. And that's a really beautiful thing. It's like you can do it anywhere. You can just pick up a guitar and sit outside if you want to.
Yeah.
I feel like we've all become sort of like way more I've become way more technically competent in this time, and I think like we've all, as Gabby said, we've all been like playing around with like ways to send each other bits of ideas, even, and like using like a Dropbox or whatever for it, because I think like it doesn't have to be polished. Again, it doesn't even have to be a fully formed idea, but I think that's almost better when we all like send each other bits of something that someone else can add to and like work with, and like it's been like a fun challenge to not be like, as a band that's quite formal in the sense that we're like, you know, a guitarist, a bass player, a drummer, a singer. We've like had to be way more like computer based in terms of like the shit we're sending each other, which is really fun, and it feels like very powerful, like especially as someone that's not at all like experienced in like recording things on a laptop. Like it's been really fun to like have to push myself, because I'm like, fuck, I want to give like Debbie and Chloe and Gabriette something to like play with and send me back something as exciting. And it's kind of like a fun like time to make stuff that like sounds really different, because you're having to use what you've got and you're not in like a studio and you've like, you know, you're using like cracked copies of software and stuff, and it's like, it's what it is.
Yeah, for sure. We have like a group chat for memos, and I was like, send all your memos, guys, and we have like 30,000 just
Yeah, we gotta organize
little music, and we're like, oh my god, okay, stop sending.
Well, we
like,
basically just sent every idea we've had in the last 2 years. So
we're just like, oh my god, where do we start? Like,
Yeah, that's great. I mean, revisiting those old ones is always really, really fun to do and see how you can rework them.
mm-hmm.
And also funny when they're not labeled and it's like you like deep breathing, someone's walking like
Yeah, we have like the weird names for our voices. Okay. Is it me now?
yeah.
Okay. How much time do you generally spend working on music, whether it be writing or just practicing your craft? Like a week or in a month?
I think it's probably, well, it's every day really.
Yeah.
I think,
Whether you notice it or not, it's like little ideas pop in here and there and you write something down or.
yeah, exactly. And like if I'm not feeling like creative, I will just practice boring drumming stuff, or I'll like play the piano if I'm not feeling like drumming. I like to just hop about on all different kinds of things to stay busy with it.
Okay.
I feel like it's I think quarantine specific, I've had days where I will sit with my bass for like 5 hours and play songs I like, or just play over songs I like, or I'll sit on my laptop and fuck around, or I'll write for hours. And then I have like a week where I don't want to listen to music, I don't want to like see an instrument, I don't want to like see anyone on social media playing, because I think it's such a weird emotional time that there are like such ups and downs, and I don't think you should feel like, I feel like you should be like making stuff or like playing and like engaging with it because you want to, and not because you feel like I should be doing this, because I think it's a really like fragile time and it's chaotic, and I don't know, sometimes that's hard to like always want to like, I think also you're seeing like so many people like putting so much stuff out in this time. There's like a weird pressure there, which I never thought would exist. I felt like initially I thought, or maybe like everyone's foot will come off the gas a bit and we can all just like jam out a bit and like just like ease off a bit. So I think it's kind of nice to, you know, there are days when you're inspired, and there are days, like Debbie said, when you just want to like noodle on a piano for a bit, and then that's it. That's all you can do.
Yeah, some days I feel like if I'm not doing anything musically, I'm like, should I be? Or like, is somebody else is doing this? Like, I don't know, but yeah, I can agree with that.
Everyone's having adult heads, you know, but in this time, it seems like a common issue. But I think that to go back to your question earlier about inspiration and writer's block, I think that sometimes to get out of a writer's block, you have to have an experience or talk to somebody about an experience that you're having emotionally, or maybe listen to a podcast or watch a movie, or like those things can just bring a lot of inspiration to what you're doing and then turn into like great work. So I think sometimes like not working on music, but doing something that might inspire your music, like, is helpful, especially in this time when we have the luxury to do that, you know?
Yeah, that's very true. Thank you.
So is it me?
Yeah.
Okay. What's something about being in a band that you just wish more people understood?
How hard it is. No, I'm just kidding.
I think like and I think a lot of artists that I like and respect, and I hope we do this too, but they're very honest and open about the lows as well as the highs. But sometimes we receive comments on Instagram and I just think, oh, I wish you knew that like no one looks like that every day, or like today I've like just eaten cereal in my bed and not left the house. I don't know. I hope that there's a transparency and some kind of what's the word? Just being real with people. I wish that more artists, I don't know, I'm not shaming anyone because I can't think of anyone at the moment, but I just hope that people keep that there, because it is, you don't write your best song every day, like you write your bad song most days. So I think there's transparency.
Okay.
Yeah, like what Debbie's saying, I think that on social media you don't see what festival we didn't book or what photos we didn't get, or any of these things. And like there's still, like, I feel so grateful to be in this band and all the opportunities that we've gotten, but there's still rejection that like you don't see, and I think everybody deals with that, yeah.
Okay.
I have a quick question. How do you deal with, rejection on that sort of level? Like, what's it like? Like, is this something that, that gets easier with time, or adds like, as motivational fuel? Does that ever get easier to have your music rejected? Because, essentially that is your essence, that is your baby, right? Like you're being vulnerable and putting your music out into the world. I'm wondering if that ever gets easier.
I think like something's gonna stick, right? Something's gotta stick. So the more you do it, the more positive things are gonna come from it. The more you're gonna feel really bolstered by that when something doesn't come through. You're gonna be like, well, I don't care. You've got to be proud of yourself for the accomplishments you do have, and remember those when something falls through. Because if you stopped, if everyone that's like doing well at anything, if they stopped the first time they didn't succeed, they wouldn't be where they are. So yeah, just keep doing it.
I feel like also there's like, it's like sometimes like, obviously it's always rough getting rejected, and I think there's just like something to be said for like being like happy to be there, or like happy that it was even like in your like radar as an opportunity, or like, most people don't get to make music. Most people don't get to like spend their life making music. Like we're so lucky to be in a position where that's a thing that we can do anyway. Like the rejection is just like just a part of it, and you're still like able to wake up in the morning and like play your instrument, and that is like, I don't know, it feels like a good payoff sometimes.
Yeah, just being like, I think, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but if something good happens, I'll immediately just like latch onto whatever, you know, negative thing somebody said or negative thing is happening. And like, I think that as I get older doing this, like, I'm just trying to celebrate the victories, even if they're small or you know, big. That'd be awesome. But like, just celebrate those instead of letting my mind go to like whatever negative thing is happening, because I think that's what makes me feel rejected. Because I'm sure that day something good happened, or maybe that week something positive happened, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard not to take it super personally than just being like, okay, like I can do better, or I could just keep going.
Yeah, totally.
I can ask the next question, right? All right. Is there something you always have on stage that you just can't live without, like besides your instruments, of course, or any pre-show rituals that are a must before any performance?
Our pre-show ritual kind of by the end turned into us playing whatever our favorite song was at the time. I mean, we all would share music while we were touring, and then we kind of found 2 or 3 songs that stuck with us. So it would be us jumping up and down by the end before, just with our tequila soda in our hand, I don't know, like running around and making a bunch of noise, taking videos and hyping each other up. And then I feel like we just scream a lot. I mean, like, within reason, but we're screaming. We're just jazzed. That's my memory. Pre-show, right? Like right before the show, we're just like,
We were going on like Instagram Live for a really long time. Like
we were
an hour and a half of getting like.
Got to share it.
With people like, haven't you got a show to do? So
yeah,
So you guys have been doing like the live. Is it harder for you guys to just be playing to a camera? Because I kind of find it, you know, like after a song we're like, woo, all right, on to the next.
Shelby's mom clapped.
Yeah, my mom's like,
we haven't played on Instagram Live. We're like trying to work that out. Is that what you asked? Is that what you said?
yeah, just like playing on any social media platform live or just streaming.
Like,
Yeah.
just like not having an audience there and just being in front of a camera. It's like,
oh yeah, I mean, it's, you know what? You can also be your biggest fan. If you're your worst critic, you can be your biggest fan. So just, yeah.
I love that.
Just be proud of it if you made it. Whatever, clap for yourself.
Yeah. Definitely.
I feel like talking about your pre-show and how you get kind of like crazy and hyped up and screaming actually was really helpful, because sometimes like we do a show, we're just not feeling it for some reason. We're trying to get out of the funk, and I feel like that could help us out a lot, just to, you know, go crazy and get really hyped up, and that might help a lot.
There's nothing worse than like sitting in that space, because of course you're nervous, and you're right to be nervous and wanting it to go well and caring. It means you care. That's really good. But the second you go on stage, you're with people that they're on their like, they're out on their Saturday night out, whatever, they've paid for a ticket, they want to have a really good time, and they don't care. You know, it's kind of like, you don't want to apologize on your own stage, and you don't want to give that energy, because people, they're all there to support you, and if they're not, then they can fuck off. But they're probably there because they really vibe you and your band and the fun you're having. So like, if it gets a bit too, like, sometimes I'm like, thinking about accounting, and I'm like, is that how I play it? Fuck, I can't remember. It's just better to turn some like Mariah Carey on and have a drink and just forget it. Because if it goes wrong, it's better for it to go wrong and you laugh about it and it be fun than it to go right because you look like you're having an awful time on stage and you're really nervous.
Yeah, it's kind of like you can sometimes when a band messes up or you see them like, oh shit, you can be like, oh, like they for sure messed up because they show it. I just always think like, okay, people spent their $10 of hard-earned money on to go see me play at this like bar, so I'm gonna like give them a show. They're not gonna forget.
Exactly. If I go see a gig and I see someone mess up, I don't care. If everyone's having fun and like people are jumping around and like a stick breaks or like the bass strap flies off because the bassist is like doing the splits, I don't care. I'm like, that looks like such a party.
That's true. Now that you say it, it sounds so obvious. Like every time I mess up, I get all psyched out. But like, I've never been to a show and somebody messed up, and I'm like, well, now my next room. Like,
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's cooler because then it's like, okay, these are real people, these are real musicians. Like things happen, you know.
The mistakes normally come with us also when we're having such a good time and we I can think of like 4 times back where we've been like almost hugging each other and like me and Chloe's guitar strings all getting like sucked up and it's starting to sound like shit and you kind of back off and you're like, oh, it's having fun. But I'd rather that be the mess up than, you know, like there's zero vibe between you.
Definitely.